I keep meeting my birth mom but she doesn't know it's me. She had me when she was 14. And I, 24M, was given up for adoption. My parents told me about her growing up. I still have the letter she wrote me that she asked if they could give it to me if they wanted. It's crazy reading it sometimes and knowing it was a literal child who wrote it saying she's sorry she couldn't be my mommy but she hopes I'm happy. She was open to having contact but we moved for my dad's job when I was 11 and then it seemed impossible to find her. But luckily I did. She's working at this small restaurant and I keep going but she doesn't know it's me. We talk sometimes. And she seems like a nice lady. Sometime when she says something like, "Do you want a refill, honey?" or uses another term like that, I want to tell her. It makes me nervous. We talk sometimes and she seems really genuine. If it's not super busy she's more open to talking about random stuff. I literally drive 2 hours to come eat at this place just to see her. And it's like she knows me already because I'm there once or 2 times a week for the past 3 months so she always says hi with a big smile. But man, if only she knew. Update. Well, I did it, I told her. And yeah, it was pretty heavy. My heart was even beating fast. I kept trying to think how to tell her. Many of the comments on my last post here mention writing her a letter just how she wrote a letter for me. Originally that was the plan but for me it felt like I needed to say it. Everything happened day before yesterday BTW. I did wait for her to be done with her shift and that was when they were closing the restaurant already. And waited in the parking lot. We said hi when she saw me first but then I told her there was something serious that she needed to know. First told her sorry for keeping it from her this long. She didn't react until I actually pulled out her letter. And she started bawling from there. Like screaming and crying at the same time, and didn't even have to finish the whole "I'm your son" speech. She just saw it and knew. It was crazy. Next thing I know she's hugging me instantly but then she pulled back and asked if it's okay to hug me. OFC it is and we're just there hugging and crying in the parking lot. It hit her hard though. Her legs gave out for a second so I had to actually hold her up while she's still hugging me for a minute. What really got me was her saying to me, "Look how big you got." Also hearing her cry made me cry too. She went back to open the restaurant up, she wouldn't take no for an answer. We had coffee, ate a slice of their pie inside and talked. So many stuff we talked about. She told me the second time I came to the restaurant she got a feeling but for her it was hard to believe it was me. So that feeling she had was pushed way down. Because she told me for years after I was adopted she saw kids that would be my age and used to think they were me. Then she would be crying in public. It fucked with her mind a lot and made her depressed so she didn't want to do the same when she saw me, getting her hopes up like that. She says I look so much like my biological dad when he was younger though. We talked about him too. They stayed in contact with each other in case I ever reached out to one of them so it would be easier to contact the other. I didn't have hope about finding my biological dad since he was never mentioned so I'm glad they both planned for this future scenario. She told me about how they wanted to keep me. Especially my biological dad, he didn't want me to be adopted. But he knew they had to because they were just kids. It took him a long time to get past it after I was born, she told me. That's why he didn't leave anything because he didn't want to believe he might not see me again. We talked for hours. Till almost 2 in the morning, they closed at 11. She just wanted to know everything about me but her main thing was, am I happy? Were my parents good to me? Did I have a happy childhood? And I did. I told her thank you for helping to give me this life. We both cried again. She cried the most. Everything was very emotional for her. Sometimes she would look really happy but then get sad again. After my 18th birthday she was hoping I would find her, that's why she stayed in the same city. But since I didn't she always thought maybe I resented her, wasn't told I'm adopted, or maybe had decided it was better not to have her around. It made me feel bad for not telling her sooner. She told me it's not my fault and I did right going at my own pace. Honestly she's so sweet. The way she kept looking at me with the biggest smile, it made me emotional sometimes. Makes you think how can someone who's been a total stranger your whole life look at you with so much love? It's wild. We learned so much about each other. She asked me if we could have dinner soon to keep talking. And if at some point in the future if I'm interested come over to her house so I can meet her husband. That all sounded really great. We exchanged numbers. After I left she sent a text telling me thank you for giving her this gift that she didn't know if it would ever come. My girlfriend came over and she hugged me while I cried. I wasn't sad by the way, these were happy tears. Everything went better than I expected. There was still emotionally heavy stuff but I'm still glad that we got to open up to each other. Update. Met my biological dad for the first time ever. It was emotional, is an understatement. I've been feeling so many things since this all happened. We met a few days ago. This was more nervous for me because I didn't know anything about him. With my bio mom it was different because I watched her from far and got to know her a little before it came out. I asked my bio mom if she could be there too just because she knows him better so it was the two of us waiting for him at this park. He was already crying before we even got to him. This guy is strong too so he pulled me in for the biggest bear hug and crying. He told me he wants me to know that they love me so much and he loves me. I lost count how many times he'd come back in for one more hug. This definitely got to him. And he kept saying thank you God a few times. Looking at my face. The feelings, man, the feelings. We had so many of them. Hearing him tell me how much they loved me even back then. It meant so much for me to hear that, and NGL that had me holding him tight too. I'm sure to everyone at the park it was weird seeing 3 crying people. My bio dad said he cried so many times just driving over here he didn't think he had any more tears until he saw us. When we were all sitting down it hit me that my bio mom was not lying when she said we look alike. Obviously he's older, but still, holy shit, the similarities. He brought gifts too, which was a surprise. It was really nice. He told me I don't have to keep them if I don't want it, but he felt weird not coming with anything, and he's wanted to give this to me for a long time. One was a teddy bear holding a picture frame of him at the hospital holding me. He was 15 years old. It's still crazy to realize that. And then the other thing was a journal. The journal thing was stuff he said he started writing to me years after I was adopted. He was in therapy and that helped him to cope, thinking he would give them to me one day. His way of still feeling connected to me. I haven't read everything yet, but some of the pages were his thoughts and like if he's talking to me. How he felt when they found out she was pregnant, then the adoption, everything going on in his mind when he first got to hold me as a baby. I didn't even know he was at the hospital too. It was not what I was expecting. It really got me. I read some more of what he wrote last night that really got me crying. I'm sad to think how much this affected them emotionally for years. Also think it's pretty sweet he wanted to write this for me. We talked about his own life, which was pretty hard. His struggles with home life and the feelings he had about giving me up. Then he wanted to know everything about me. Basically with the same questions my bio mom had. I made sure they knew they made the right decision. Because my life was pretty great. He looked like he wanted to cry when he knew that, because that's all they hoped for, and it was something he always wondered about for years. My bio mom left a bit after we were more comfortable so we could talk more in private once it didn't feel too awkward between us. From there he told me stories about how he met my bio mom. Sometimes he'd point out stuff he noticed about me that reminds him of her or me and him having similar likes. Example, I love eating mangoes. I can eat them all day, and that's what I bought when we bought snacks at the park. He told me my bio mom was obsessed with Mango 7 before she got pregnant. While pregnant she craved it even more. It's still stuff we have in common, and we both have lots. Both like hiking, playing pool. He was a swimmer in college and I was on a swim team in high school. Both love rock music. Especially 90s. My bio dad was really open about sharing everything. Like he really was getting ready for this meeting. He hoped it would happen and he prayed every day to see me again because he had so many things he wanted to tell me. Overall, really good first meeting. I'm glad how it went. He's open to the idea of meeting my parents. After I told them about all this, because they definitely want to meet my bio parents again if I'm comfortable with that, obviously if my bio parents are too. Let's see when that happens. How it's gonna feel for me. They've met each other before I was even born, but I never had them at the same place, so that'll be interesting. Me and my parents met up yesterday to have breakfast so I could tell them everything. My mom was so happy how it went. She actually cried too when I was telling them about both their reactions. My dad was proud because he knew how hard it was the months after finding my bio mom and not really wanting to make contact yet. I'm really happy to have their support because it's hard not to feel guilty about wanting to know more my bio parents. They gave me a really good life, so for a while it's felt like maybe to them I'm showing them that wasn't good enough for me and I'd rather have my bio parents. But they told me many times they want me to do this for me and they know how much I love them. And I really do. Finding them and meeting them was hard. But it was so worth it to me. And seeing their reactions made it feel even more worth it. Still can't believe it sometimes. I'm just realizing this has turned into a long post, my bad, haha. Writing this has been therapeutic tbh. Kind of thinking back to everything that's happened. Feeling really grateful. Comment 1. Damn it. I'm sitting in my office tearing up. This is no good. Comment 2. FYI, if you're ever looking for gift ideas for them, a photo album of pictures of you as a kid growing up would probably mean the world to them. With some blank pages at the end for all the new memories you'll make together, smiley face. Comment 3. I am an international adoptee, so the chances of ever finding my parents are quite low. I love these types of posts because they really do give me hope. Comment from Read Best. It reminds me of Randall from This Is Us, the black boy raised by a white family. His emotional journey, full of doubt, self-blame, anger, was so real. That's the kind of struggle most people go through. This story is beautiful and warm, but I can't stop thinking about his adoptive parents. They raised him with such love, even told him the truth, and were open to meeting his birth parents. That's truly remarkable. Honestly, I don't know if I could do that. I'd feel a deep sense of loss. What do you think?